Hey everyone, this is BlackHawkIC, and welcome back to my channel. A couple of years ago I did a video where I recommended the Hellbringer as the new player's first mech, but many things have changed since then, the most important of which is the skill tree. I still recommend the Hellbringer, but it really is time to update the guide for 2018. FYI, this video is intended for players with less than a month under the belt, but maybe some experienced players will also get something out of it as well. If you're brand new to the game, make sure to go through the academy and finish your first 25 games to get the cadet bonus before buying any of your own mechs. In my earlier video, I laid out 5 selection criteria that I think a player's first mech should meet. A couple of the selection criteria that I used earlier became less important or no longer made sense altogether. Back then, I said the mech has to be new player friendly, meaning it's easy to understand and minimize complicated game mechanics. It has to have longevity, meaning it's not just a beginner mech, and the mech gets better as the player gets better. It has to be affordable using just the cadet bonus. It's faction play friendly, and it should have build variety. In this guide, I threw out build variety completely. With the introduction of the skill tree, it became quite expensive to purchase new skill nodes for a mech to suit a different playstyle and build. Even for the experienced players with a lot of C builds and experience points on their mechs, it's cumbersome to respec the skill tree anytime you want to change builds. Therefore, nowadays players tend to buy a mech specifically for one build and one playstyle and stick with it. I honestly think this is one of the worst consequences of the skill tree, but this is how it is right now. Back in 2016, you needed to buy 3 variants of a chassis to apply the full set of skills to them. And since you needed to buy 3 variants of a chassis anyway, 3 Hellbringers and a medium fit very well into faction play drop deck. Even though the same is true now, you can mix and match Hellbringers with other heavies to form the basis of your faction play drop deck without having to buy 3 variants of each chassis. Not only this, but the faction play game mode lost a lot of population since 2016, so it's no longer such a big consideration. A new criteria that I'm adding is that the build should allow you to accumulate C builds quickly. This is because the skill tree made playing the game very C-build intensive. Each skill node requires not just 800 XP but also 45,000 C-bills, and you probably need about 50 to 60 skill nodes before the mech becomes kind of decent. The game rewards C-bills mostly for doing damage to enemy mechs, destroying components and killing them. It doesn't reward support activities like scouting, spotting, and capping nearly as much. The longer you stay alive, the more mechs you kill, the better your chances of your team winning, which also leads to rewards like win bonus and salvage bonus. And therefore staying alive while doing damage during that time usually leads to more C-bills per match, so you want your first mech to be damage dealers and not simply support mechs. Now with the Solaris 7 introduction, that's one possible other consideration, but the current state of Solaris 7 favors 1 or 2 specific mechs and builds in each division, and often these chassis are not well suited for quick play, which is what the majority of players spend their time on. Therefore, I think new players should generally stay away from Solaris 7 until they have enough resources to build mechs specifically for this game mode. Okay, to recap, the selection criteria are 1. It's easy to play, 2. Has longevity, 3. Affordable, and 4. Gets you C-bills, and 4.5. FP friendly. When I apply this criteria to the existing mechs in MWO, the Hellbringer is still the best choice after all these years. There are other mechs like the Hunchback 2CA and Ebon Jaguar that comes close, but none really meets all the criteria I laid out as well as the Hellbringer. The mid-range laser builds on the HBR are easy to play. You don't need to deal with things like leading projectiles, UAC jams, and having to be very careful about when to commit to an attack, as with short-range builds. The ECM covers many mistakes, but doesn't make you invincible, making them sort of good training wheels, especially in the lower tiers. With this mech, you'll still learn fundamentals such as aiming for specific components, spreading damage, and positioning, but the learning curve is much easier. The same couldn't be said of the Mad Cat Mark II, for example, where mistakes can be severely punished because of its lack of speed. Secondly, the Hellbringer has excellent longevity. The reason is that the Hellbringer will be good as long as clan lasers are good, which has been true for most of the time after the clan's introduction. It doesn't depend on quirks, like many of the IS mechs do. In fact, the Hellbringer is considered one of the top mechs in the game today. The Timberwolf, for example, has fallen from grace because it depended on its mobility, which got nerfed about a year ago. With its excellent hardpoint locations in ECM, it's difficult to make the HBR into a trash mech. The Hellbringer is affordable with a cadet bonus. You'll need to buy a couple of Omnipods and weapons for the initial build, but that's really it. This is one reason I don't recommend IS mechs for new players just starting out, because it costs a ton of C-bills to upgrade them to the appropriate engine, DHS, and structure settings, and most of them are not so good pre-upgrade. The HBR is a good C-bill earner. Because of the ECM and high mount points, the Hellbringer is a mech that should not get shot at all that often, as long as you make good use of your range and make good peaks, which should lead you to surviving longer in matches. I did a how to peek effectively video a long time ago, and I'll link you to the video in the description below. By playing mid-range, you have a lot of chances to do damage to enemy mechs without putting yourself in super dangerous positions. A lot of players will start out playing long range, thinking it's a good way to stay alive. But in reality, most maps in MWO have a lot of cover, which prevents you from using that range effectively. Long range isolates you from your team and makes you vulnerable to getting swarmed by light mechs. In fact, one of my favorite things to do in a light mech is to play anti-sniper. Long-range weapons tend to be either hotter or heavier than mid-range weapons, potentially reducing your overall contributions to a match. Lastly, 65-tonners like the Hellbringer fits really well into a faction play drop deck. FP decks favor weight efficiency. What I mean is, when you got X number of tons to use in a deck, the assault mech's level of firepower don't increase proportionally with their increased weight. Although they're able to carry heavier weapons, their damage output is going to be limited by things like heat and available slots. Lights and mediums don't carry enough weapons to form the foundation of an FP deck either, making heavies in general the best chassis type in FP. The build that I will recommend initially on an HBR without any skill nodes is this single ER large laser 5 ER medium laser loadout. You'll change this as you get more skills in your skill tree, but this is what I would start off with right now. The ER large laser is not for long range combat and is there to maximize damage on the hardpoints available on the torsos without making the build too hot. You'll want to buy the Prime variant in the store and replace the right torso and head omnipods with a P and A respectively. Without any heat management or heat gen nodes, this will take you to about 50% of your heat capacity when firing all of your weapons at once, so it's very manageable. I will group the weapons to match the left and right sides like this. The head laser is associated with both weapon groups as you'll be able to hit anything you see with that head laser. We always fire it whether the target is on the left or right side. In your game settings, I set my FOV to about 75. This allows you to see more of the field without introducing a severe fisheye effect. I undo arm lock, which allows me to torso twist with less mouse movement. In your video settings, turning particles and environment to low is optional, if you want less distractions when you play. I have them on because they look kind of cool. Let's also calibrate the mouse sensitivity. This is going to be specific to the mouse you're using, so I can't tell you what you should be running. With laser builds specifically, having too high of a sensitivity prevents you from concentrating damage to a single component. Usually the component you're aiming for are legs on fast mechs, CT on anything bigger, or armorless red and orange components if you see one of them is heavily damaged. The MechWarrior Academy has some aim exercises, but I don't think they're good enough. A good way to adjust your sensitivity and aim is to go into Tourmaline Desert in testing grounds, and right about here, press 0 on your numpad to go full throttle and try to put most of that laser burn into the center torso. You should see the CT go to red structure before either of the armor on the right or left torsos turn orange or red. I'm going to be doing 2 gameplay demos. This account is a utility account that I borrowed from Stoneblade, so thank you Stone for letting me take it for a while. Unfortunately, this account has already moved out of Tier 5, so it's not exactly what a new player experience will be like in T5, but it'll be somewhat close. The first one will be with no skill nodes applied, and the second will be with 2 ECM nodes applied. I highly recommend you build up this tree like this before any of the others. Because without either of the ECM nodes, enemies can spot you at 560 meters even with ECM, so it becomes really useless. In fact, you can really remove it and add an extra heatsink to the unarmored right arm until you get at least 1 ECM node. After these 2 games, I'll show you a more advanced build and skill tree, which is what I'm currently running. Alright, let's get into game number 1. In this match, we're on Rubelite Oasis, which is a hot map and not as friendly to our laser build. But our heat is still pretty good here. There are a few Tier 1 players in this match, and the matchmaker will do this to T4 accounts if it can't find enough players. Remember that this is also without the ECM skill node, so I'll be a little bit more vulnerable in this match as well. Here I'm just following my team, and the Madcat Mark II is firing, so I'm having to step in front of him very carefully, and hopefully he sees my peek. I didn't expect that Ebon Jaguar to be there, so I took some damage as I was trying to follow through with my laser burn.
New target acquired.
So I'm waiting here until the Madcat behind me was done shooting. And after I turned the corner, I found this rifleman and concentrated the damage to his CT as much as possible.
Target acquired.
And now after that shot, the Timberwolf is 1 shot away from dying, so I wanted to take another peek. I thought I saw one mech there, the Ebon Jaguar, but the direwolf kind of blended in with the Ebon Jaguar, so I was facing more than I wanted to. But thankfully my team was there to support me.
Target destroyed. New target acquired.
I noticed that both of the direwolf's side torsos are open, so I took one of them and my teammate took out the other ST. Remember, destroying both STs on clan mechs usually end up in their deaths, except for certain builds. This Ebon Jaguar twisted too much and gave us his back instead of his side torso. You can see that when he died, his right front torso armor is pretty fresh, which is what he's intending for us to shoot, which is a defensive technique called shielding. When you shoot through a dead mech, as I just did, although on screen it looks like you're hitting the dead guy, but on the game server it registers as a hit on the mech behind it.
Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired. Target destroyed.
Thanks.
That Annihilator is pretty dangerous, so I need to weaken him down before getting too close. I think he's turned the other way, so I should have some free shots at him. He's got his back open to me right now, and I thought I could get a rear CT shot from here, but I got his ST instead, which is also good. Here it's nearing the end of the match and I had some health to give, so I took another peek here hoping that he's got his back turned to me. But he was anticipating the peek. The safest thing here would have been to pick another angle. And now this mistlink comes and tries to ruin my day, but so I need my team's help to get rid of the mislinks. So I drop down while trying to shield my CT.
Target acquired. Target destroyed. Heat level critical. New target acquired. Target acquired.
Warriors, you have taken the
Damn.
target.
Holy shit.
We are
I
victorious
know I
in
got
battle.
some damage here.
Well, I survived this match luckily. Even if I died though, we had an overwhelming lead, so we were okay there.
Damn, I love this mech.
Okay, match number 2. Canyon Network is a good map for this build. It's mid-range to long-range. And here I'm playing like this is a higher tier match, so I'm instinctively going to the center area. But as you can see, my team is super spread across the map, and they're not ready to join me in the center just yet.
Target spotted.
I'm down here kind of isolated, which isn't that good, but I should have a few friendlies coming soon, and some covering me hopefully from up top. If I had known the Timberwolf was going to pop up a second later, I wouldn't have wasted a shot on that Blackjack's arm. Now that I have some support from friendlies, I can move up to the center where I have a good view of the enemy side, which is why this is a good position for mid-range builds. From this position, you can hit most of the other side of the map with your medium lasers.
New target acquired.
I already have the Awesome targeted, but there's a blip from behind. My thinking here is that I'll take a shot at the Awesome, then support my friendly in the back. I only managed to get some arm damage, which was kind of a waste. This enemy Phoenix Hawk rushed in without support against 3 friendlies, so it's not a really good decision from him.
New target acquired. Target acquired. New target acquired.
I completely missed that ECM Kitfox on the other side, and so even experienced players are affected by ECM.
New target acquired.
I delayed my shot on that catapult because if there were mechs on the backside of that center rock, they'd have been a bigger threat to my team. Since there were none, I took a shot at the catapult before it was too late. That blip at D3 is being handled by 3 of our teammates, so I'm gonna go look above this rock to see if there's any other targets. A lot of new players make this mistake of swarming to a target when there's already 3 or more friendlies on him, and it's not necessary, and sometimes when you get there, he's already dead. This catapult is out of optimal range for ERMLs, but at 600 meters your ER large laser is going to do full damage, and the mediums are doing about half, so it's still worth a shot. Notice after the first shot, I'm not moving all the way to the top of the plateau, which allows me to get back to cover more quickly if I need to. After my second shot, I waited behind the rock to cool. I've got friendlies covering my side, so I'm not in too much danger. I'm turning on heat vision right now to see through the smoke.
Target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired.
The enemy has started to chip away at us. Stay frosty.
New target acquired.
Juliet Stalker. Right torso.
Heat level critical. New target acquired. Heat level critical.
The Stalker is standing still for whatever reason, and that gives us a good chance to focus the CT. Now let's cool off a bit before we shoot some more.
New target acquired.
Ema Orion.
I prefer to stay up here on the top level, but I should have enough support if I drop down. If he comes at me, my team will be able to take back shots.
Left torso.
Target destroyed. New target acquired. Target acquired.
Target spotted.
In Canyon Network, you don't want to stay at the bottom level for too long, so I'm going to use this ramp to get up. Our team is 6 down already, so we're doing worse than I thought. This Blackjack lost a torso and his other ST is almost gone, so we're going to try to remove it. Now, even if he's running a standard engine, he should be weaponless after that. When you get more experience in MWO, you'll start knowing typical mech loadouts by their chassis type. If you don't, just shoot CT.
New target acquired. Heat level critical. New target acquired.
Here we have 2 choices. Help our friendly against the Mad Cat, or defend against the Thunderbolt to my left. My thinking here is that I'm giving the Thunderbolt my fully armored left side, and if he hits my arm, I will only lose heat sinks, while I got the back of the Mad Cat in this angle. So the trade-off is worth it.
Destroyed. Heat level critical. New target acquired. Target destroyed.
All remaining. Crush the cowards.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
I'm staying up here because, as I said, the upper levels of the canyon is better. It gives you more movement options and you can use the high mounts to shoot downwards without exposing much of the Hellbringer. That awesome, I think, is running an XL engine, which is a big no-no. This Highlander somehow is able to sneak past my teammates to the left and back of me. I thought I was more likely to be attacked from the right instead of from the back. I shouldn't have taken the shot as I was falling, but I thought I could angle my torso up enough to get damage in without him being able to return fire, but I just hit rock instead. Then I'm shielding with my right side since my left has more DHS and weapons. I saw his right torso was open, so I take it out to remove most of his weapons. If I place my shot correctly, then it's worth shutting down for. I believe he was out of MRM ammo, so we just need to finish him off and end the match. I think you'll see that in this match I got noticed by fewer enemies and I was able to stay healthy all the way up to the end, in part due to the ECM. After you're able to unlock about 50 or so skill nodes, you should be able to run this build here, which has a bigger alpha and better damage beyond the ERML's optimal range, while keeping the heat pretty manageable. Other variations I've seen are those with 2 ER large lasers instead of the LPLs, and 2 ER large lasers and 6 ERMLs, but I like this version the best. This is what I use for the full skill tree, which focuses on heat gen and durability. Well guys, that's it for this guide, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post a comment below. And if you want more of these kinds of detailed mech and strategy guides and tutorials, make sure to subscribe to this channel and to be updated when new videos get posted. I got a really exciting Hellbringer match that I'll post up sometime later, which will also demo a build that I didn't show here, so I hope you'll come and see that one. I'll see you next time.